Hello there, today I'm going to be showing you how to land a ship on the Mun in Kerbal Space Program. This starts with the ship first, so there's a few things that you need to know about the ship. It has to have a lot of delta V, that's the meters per second it can push with the engines. It's hard to explain, but you'll understand once we get to maneuver. So we're going to use this pod here because I like the pod. One of the things that I always do first is plan out the pod. Because if you mess up the pod, I hate to break it to you, you're probably going to die. I do have mods installed, but we are going to be using 100% stock parts. Like, if I could scale this up, but we're not going to do that. Also, the reason there will be no craft in the description below is because it's better for you to make it yourself so you can learn it. So, I'm going to use a small booster on this because it's only landing on the moon, which means it doesn't need a parachute. I'm stupid. It's only landing on the moon. And then I'm going to rendezvous it in orbit using MechJeb, because I can't rendezvous to save my life. But this is just going to land on the moon, be a little base sort of thing, and then we'll take back off. So, you know. This isn't ideal for getting back to Kerbin, but this ship definitely can get back to Kerbin. I just prefer using a rendezvous, because in my experience, it's better to do that with my abilities, at least. It's better for me to just rendezvous than to land back on Kerbin with the same ship, because then I risk not having enough fuel. So yeah, it's simple, I guess. So we need those to start retracted. Actually, let's start them extended for now, because we're going to test it really quick on Kerbin. So then I always remember to put on not solar panels, these radioisotope thermoelectric generators. I generally put about 8, or however many. Yeah, this is 8. But you'll see that you want to make sure to leave room for your ladder. If you hold shift, you can move these more precisely. I let go of shift too soon. Okay, and then you can use these tools up here to rotate your parts, and we're just going to do it like this. I was going to have them go up, but I think it's going to look better to go down. And since we're going to the moon, we don't really need ladders, but I'll still put them on. Let me just center this with. Okay, ladders are in utility. Need one, because that'll save on weight. So then we can extend our ladder. That should be good, but just in case, we'll throw it on like that. And then, I don't think we're going to need a big one, but yes, we're going to need a big one. I don't use ladders very often, which generally is not good for me, because it always ends up not working in my favor. That should get us down to the ground. Let's just retract these. Retract these. So that should be good for now. We're not going to use a launch abort system because we don't need one. We could if we were going for realism, but we don't need one, so I'm not going to throw one on. One thing I always like to do when I am orbiting the moon is at least have one small battery. Okay, maybe not on top like that, but if you hold Alt, that'll center it. You can go like this. Let's just get 2 of these, like that. No, actually, like that. Then it lines up with the door thing, hatch. So that should be good for now. If you were gonna re-enter Kerbin, using this, I'd recommend putting a heat shield here and a decoupler in between the heat shield and the fuel tank. If you want to, you really could use one of these ones, because then that inflates and gets really big and helps slow you down, which is generally what I will do, but you don't always need it, just depends on your skills. So now that we have this built for the most part, I think that should be good. Yeah. To the Mun. So let's save it and launch. Saturn V. We don't need Saturn V right now. Okay. We don't need HyperEdit either. So we'll turn on SAS and the only reason RCS is on is because it looks nice. So this won't take off on Kerbin, but I believe the moon's gravity is, well, what is it, like, I don't know. I know this will take off on the moon because I've built them just like this in the past. All I need to do is make sure that it's all gonna function properly. Alt F12 brings up this cheat menu. Is it 30% of the Earth's? I don't know. But it should be able to at least slow itself down. And let's just unhack gravity, which is ideally not a good idea. That's fine. Okay, so now we can set these to start retracted, and now we'll put a decoupler. Ooh, do we need a more powerful engine there? Because I know that it's not perfectly scaled in Kerbal Space Program, but, you know. Okay, Google. If it actually worked. How much gravity is on the moon?
The gravity of moon is 1.622 meters per second.
Oh yeah, we'll be fine, because Earth is 1.9, or no, 9.8 meters per second. I'm dumb. So we should be fine. How did I not instantly get 9.8 meters per second? Whatever. Well, it's, yeah, okay. So, I generally will use one of these this size. You don't necessarily need it, but it's just the style I've used for ages, so I've just continued to use it. And you'll see why in a moment. So, then, actually we need an adapter first. Where is the adapter? Here is the adapter. So, here we have our Kerbidyne ADTP-2-3. It is an adapter, as you can see. It scales this thing, or this size, up to this size. And I like this size, because it holds an insane amount of fuel, like you'll see. It's over double the amount that this one holds. And it's, you know, a nice tank. So, now generally I will use 2, but for the purposes of this tutorial, we can do 3. Now, please note, if you use 4, this thing will not be able to lift itself. So, then we're going to use, where is it? One of these, because this is the most powerful engine in the game. Stock. So, yes. Then, we're going to throw one of these on. Well, we're going to throw 2 on the side, just to ensure that we are able to lift the entire ship. Obviously. Because that's probably the most important part of the ship, is the fact that you can lift it. So then, you'll see how they're not evenly lined up, so we're just going to grab the move tool up here. And then, you can move it down slowly. And if you really want to be OCD like I'm going to be, you can hold shift and do it until it's perfect. That's close enough. It's not perfect, but whatever. If this were real life, I feel like it would probably be perfect. but it's not IRL, so yeah. Then we're gonna throw these same boosters on the side because otherwise it won't lift itself. I believe if you only use 2 of these, you can use one of these ones. They're the same size as these tanks, but they're smaller. But really, you don't need it, so yeah. So now, this next step depends on whether or not you have a mod. So now, where's aerodynamics? Here it is. So if you have the mod that I do that allows you to scale things up, you can just get one of these nose cones and scale it up. But since we're building this in stock, we're going to do it a different way. So you grab another one of these adapters, you'll see it's the same one as that. And then you go back to aerodynamics, then you just use this. Now, that's not perfectly aerodynamic because it curves a bit more here than it does there, but it still helps more than just having it like that. So we'll leave it like that, or like this. Next we're gonna grab some struts because otherwise this will wobble like the dickens. Yeah. So you can never have too many struts in my opinion. Because struts are very useful things. Now, I definitely recommend placing struts on the bottom because they're useful down there. And also, in my testing of building rockets, it's better to put your decoupler at the top, but if you don't put it at the top and you put it in the middle, you need to have extra struts up here, which we'll do anyway, just for example. Like that. And then you have to have them like that down there. And then something that I don't normally do, but it's still a good thing to do, is have 2 fuel lines running into the center tank. It doesn't matter where you place these. It just matters... Okay, that's not right, but okay. It just matters that you click on the... So this tank is the one I clicked on first, so it's going to feed this tank into the middle tank. Same thing with this one. But if I clicked on this tank first, it would feed this tank into this tank, and then we drop these, and this one would be out of fuel, and these ones would keep going, which is bad. So don't do that. Something that I'm not entirely sure of is whether or not you need it on each individual tank, but we're still going to put it on each individual tank because it looks nicer. At least in my head. No, see, that was that mistake there. So now we're going to have to take that off and put it back like that, because otherwise we would probably have a few issues in a little bit. So that should be it for this part. Then we're going to definitely need RCS. Now, once again, if you have the scaling up mod, definitely scale these up a bit, but since I don't, we're just gonna, or since this is being built stock, we're just gonna do it like this. Now, I generally try to avoid putting RCS boosters on slanted surfaces, but that's generally because I'm docking with these ships. But in this case, it's more than fine to do. So, yeah. And then we're going to put them on this one. The reason we need RCS on this is because it's such a big booster, and it's got a lot of mass. So these should protect it from just wobbling. And also another, okay, that might be a problem in a moment, but another thing that I'd recommend doing is just putting RCS tanks on this. Okay, will those connect? No, they won't because they are backwards. There. I did it. A lazy way to do that, but okay. So yeah, that's not the best way to do it. Also, instead of using these, you could use a fairing, but I don't like the way those look or work, so I'm not going to use a fairing. Now, next, we need to make sure we have our staging set right. So, you see we have our staging set like that, but then, since we have these tanks feeding into the center one, these two outer tanks feeding into the center one, we're going to want to make sure we drop these tanks before we drop the center one. So we want the 2 outer decouplers to drop first, and then have this one, center one, decouple after it runs out of fuel. So what we're going to do is, I always recommend remembering doing this because it's not worked out well for me in the past. So we're going to flip these over. I just had to press D twice to flip them over. And now these things are just going to go along with, where are they? These. Okay, these are going to go along with these decouplers here. And these are just going to push it away from the ship. Actually, yeah, this should be fine, right? So, yeah, okay. So then we're just going to put another one on the other side. So those should be able to push it away from the ship fairly easily. We're just going to throw those on that stage too. Then on this side, and then the other side of this, we're going to have them pushing away from the ship. Actually, no, let's put them in the middle-ish. So that just pushes them away from the ship a little bit. We'll also throw them on the other side. So that should pull it away from the main booster, because in the past I haven't done that and that's messed me up. So it's very important to remember to do that. No, don't do that. There. Okay. So here's the ship. Since we're not using a aerodynamic nose cone at the top, what we're gonna do is, here it is. No, we want it here. Oops. Okay, so definitely make sure you don't delete that stage that you just built. And grab a fairing. And then make sure you place it below the decoupler because you don't want it blocking your booster. My phone just reminded me to upload a YouTube video. I'm a genius. No. Okay, we just need it to be like that. It doesn't need to be too big or too small. There. That's actually the best fairing I've ever done. I'm proud of that one. Yeah. So actually, what we can do now is we can put some RCS boosters on the sides of these. Like that. No, we should have them there. That should add extra control. Then same thing with this one, we'll have 4. We'll do them. Ooh, I don't like that. Okay, it works out perfectly actually, because then they're still lined up fine. I know I said I don't like putting them on slanted surfaces, but that's what we're gonna do in this case. Yeah. So we're only going to put 2 on the top, so we're not blocking the ladder. But in most cases I'd recommend doing... Actually, no, here's an idea. Okay, go like that. There. Worked out just fine. Yeah. Then we might as well just go like that. Which will block the ladder. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. So yeah, we definitely want to, we don't really need to have controls for a fairing. So what I normally do is I just make a separate stage for the fairing and throw it up at the top, because then I just right click on it and click, you know, blow off. You know, if you really want a cool fairing, turn your ejection force to 1000 and 6 sides. It looks amazing. Yeah, definitely don't do that though if you have a bunch of other sensitive stuff sitting around it, because it doesn't always work. What's that? I don't know what that does. Don't mess with stuff. Yeah. So this has been the first part of the series. Tune in either tomorrow or the day after that. I'm not entirely sure which day this is going to get uploaded, because I have a video that's going to be planned in between that. But yes, tune into my channel, and the next part to the series will go up when that will be maneuvering to the moon. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.